everybody? Welcome back to the Triangle. This is your boy D.
And it's your girl CJ.
And let me tell you how I was disappointed in myself today.
Oh no.
So I'm doing laundry, as one does.
Uh-huh.
And it's hard to tell sometimes what's clean or dirty. So what do? You smell it. I smell my own underwear from after the gym. My nigga. Rigor mortis set in. I was like, dead. I was like, what is that? I'm Brandi.
Rigor mortis.
I was disappointed in myself.
Oh my god! It wasn't like regular underwear. It was gym after the gym underwear.
And a lot of times I'll go to the gym and I'll come back and strip and try to, because I'm always rushing. And I was trying to figure out what's clean, what's not. And I was like, oh. And you don't half sniff something when you sniff it. You're like,
yeah, you're like.
I tasted it. It was gross. It was gross.
She said I tasted it.
Oh God.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
yeah.
What's this month all about?
It's the Bloctober Spooksville Spectacular.
Hey.
For those of you who don't know, Brandi's last name is Blocker. No. Brandi's last name is Blocker. Mine is Spottsville, and we are both born in October. So this is our month. Hence the crown. My spooky earrings, my spooky little outfit, and her little, what was it called again?
An arc reactor.
Reactor,
thank Industries, you know what I mean? Made for the Stark Industries for these D's.
Oh my God, I can't. Those are not D's. Those are like double D's.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going to listen to you because you know better. But you know, the little folks that measure you at the mall, they're like, oh, you're like a 38D. I'm like, I feel like you lying, but okay.
Oh, you're definitely not a 30. You're probably a 36 double or triple D.
God, dog.
I think they just put, I think they put you in a sister size. I'm sorry. I'll have to measure you when you come out here.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah. You do that.
Anywho, thanks for tuning in, you guys. So this whole month, we're going to be doing spooky stories that we all have. And then we're going to talk about spooky history and creatures and all that good stuff. Anything that has to do with our little Halloween season that is upon us.
Anything Satan related. We're getting into
and we're going to put this out there. If you guys are listening or watching and you have some cool ass stories about ghosts, goblins, fairies, shit that you can't explain, shit that you saw, corpses, zombies, I don't know.
You, like your parents and ex.
I mean, you know, things happening, paranormal activity, whatever it is. If you got stories, send it in.
We want to hear it.
Yes, we want to hear it. If you have to video yourself and inbox it to us, that's cool too. We'll watch it. We might even add it in if it's really good at the end of our episode or something. And then if it's a story, if it's long, or if it's typed up, we can type it up on our little Instagram pages and Facebook pages too. Yeah, so people can read about it.
It'd be really cool. Stories like the Midnight Society, like from
submitted to the approval.
Yeah,
the Midnight Society. I call this story and then throw sand. Have you ever tried to throw sand into a fire and was disappointed because it put the fire out? I've done that. I've definitely done that.
Me too.
I have. I was like, oh, this is going to spark up and be really great. And that bug said,
yep, it just killed the fire. I was like, oh, it does not work that way.
Am I not part of the Midnight Society now? Like,
Science.
No, that's how it works.
Science. Anyway, we're going to start off with Demetrios and his story. So what was it? What topic are you going off of first? What was it?
So I think we're going to start off with, you know what? I'll do a topic that includes the both of us since we're both here for this scary ass situation, this scenario. This was some motherfucking bullshit. I was not prepared. Nobody told me.
Look at Brandi.
This was
I'm ready. I'm ready not to get sleep tonight.
So it started out like this. So CJ was living in this neighborhood on the eastern portion. Was it like the east side of San Antonio? Was it?
I think so. I'm really bad with directions. That's my
it was like the eastern-ish side of San Antonio. So every time I go to that house, I got real bad juju from this house that was like 2 doors down.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about the house.
Yeah, that
the one that was corner.
House.
Yes.
So that's the house where I used to see Creepo Suave is what I call her. This little girl. I used to see her all the time. She was standing on the corner, kind of like an Obon style for you Open people out here who know about the Obon people that are like standing on the corner.
Yes.
And they're like, have their hands, well, her hands were in her pockets. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I know her hands were in her pockets.
I seen
little
her
girl.
too.
She was a little black girl, and she had her hair was pulled back. It was kind of like a sandy brown color, and you could tell that she had been like, you know how if you have your hair slicked back as a little kid, you know, by the end of the day it's gonna be all scuffed up and crazy. Yeah, kind of looked like that. She had on like a purple jacket, and she's standing looking down, and I would see her like in a flash. It was weird, so I kind of didn't like going over to CJ's house at this time. Didn't like it because like little girl's gonna creep me out. But this particular day, CJ's roommate was out of town, and CJ was like, "Hey, let's go out." So I was gonna go to CJ's house to pregame with CJ before we went to this club to meet up with our other friends. Always got a pregame, right? So I get there, same shit, same little flash of this little girl, freaked me out, went inside, didn't say nothing about it. CJ had no idea that I had been seeing this shit the whole time. So I finally broke down that day after a couple of shots and was like, yo, CJ, there's some crazy shit I've been seeing outside. And CJ was like, hold up, you talking about the little black girl 2 houses down? I was like, yes, that's exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. 2 houses down. It was just reassuring to have that confirmation. I loved it. I love the fact that she could see what I could see. I knew I wasn't going fucking crazy.
Yeah. I think
so
Fred saw her one night too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you did mention that. You mentioned that to me, that he saw that too. That is creepy.
Yeah.
But gave me the creeps. We talked about it for about a good 10 minutes. So we, after CJ got dressed, we left to go out to the club. We make it out the neighborhood. This is how this shit goes down. We make it to the main street. We are in the inside lane. So there's 3 lanes. There's a car on the inside, which is us. There's a middle car, and there's a car on the far right. We're at a light. The light turns green, we go. As we go, I remember I saw a brown streak go in front of the car.
Look at Brandi.
A brown streak goes like this, and then all of a sudden, no.
She logging out.
Listen to this shit. A brown streak goes like this.
Brandi, come back, Brandi. We just getting started.
Getting started.
No, sir.
Just getting started. Catch this shit though. A brown streak does like this across, and then boom. I'm like, what the fuck was that? We hit whatever the fuck this was. We hit it. And it got hit particularly on the passenger side. I'm not a passenger, it was the driver's side.
Yeah, it went under the fender of the wheel. It tore the fender up.
It tore the fender up and around. It just destroyed the fender. Destroyed it. So it's like it just was coming down as it was flying across. And we ran over it, and it tore the fucking fender off. So we pull over. Then the guy didn't the other 2 guys pull over too?
There was a van in front of us. Yeah, who was in front of us was like, what the fuck? And then we pulled over and we looked at the fucking side of the car. I mean, it was mangled. The car still drove. And it was my friend's car, by the way, that I had to borrow. Because it was Bridget's car. Remember?
Yeah,
it wasn't even my car. It was Bridget's car because something was wrong with my car. I can't remember. But go on. Anyway.
Yeah, tore that whole shit up. I looked at CJ. I said, we are never to speak of this. We are never to speak of this moment again. I was so petrified. I knew it was directly related to that situation.
Yeah.
It was a field on the other side. There's no way a field. It flew out of a field. A log. A wooden log. That brown street
log was
a log. It was about this big. A wooden log.
It's like at least 2 feet long.
There were no pickup trucks with no equipment, nothing tied to the top, nothing.
Because it's the middle of the night. Like, it was like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we were on our way out to go
We were going downtown to the club. And this motherfucker flew. I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Yes.
Before it hit the car that I was driving.
No, ma'am.
I ain't never seen no shit like that in my fucking life.
I totally forgot about that.
Is that Is that end scene? Is that the end of the story?
Yes, it's end scene. This little girl, I think is so this house never got occupied as long as I know, where the girl would be seen. There's nobody living in that
Nobody
house.
was living there when I would go.
Nobody was living there last time I checked. Like every time I went to visit Bridget's house, even after I left San Antonio, when I went back, nobody was in that house. Nobody has rented it, bought it, nothing. I don't think anybody can live in that house.
I was just going to say, like, what?
Brandi?
No, you're not selling that house. As a realtor, like, no. No.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, that shit's not happening.
But anyway, oh my God. That's
Heather! Heather, this is not the motherfucking night.
If you guys are listening, my little one just popped into the bottom corner of my screen in perfect timing after this little girl story.
Of a little girl, and here she comes.
Oh my God. Okay, go to bed. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway.
Girl.
Heather
came in.
Say goodnight.
Okay, good night, baby.
Heather, go to bed. You know.
Night.
Good night. Okay.
Night, guys.
That was so perfect. She was like right in this little corner.
It was like, and there she is, ladies and gentlemen.
Brandi's face is everything. I hope I can freeze it and use it as a screenshot for this month. She was petrified. Like, she was gonna fight her computer. Like,
oh my God.
This is the best beginning to our spooks fucking episodes.
Yeah, it's like as soon as we decide, we're gonna talk about scary stuff. Shit's going on without people touching it. Heather's doing jump scares on people.
Man, that was great. That was great. Oh my God. Thank you, Dee. That was perfect timing.
I wonder, like, I sometimes wonder with those things, not that I wonder so much where I want to explore, but I'm always thinking, like, what does this entity want? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
See, like a TV show or movie, and all they want is, like, Courage the Cowardly Dog, return the slab, and then everything's fine. Just put my shit back in its place, and I'll leave your whole village alone. There's something, I do believe in those restless spirits that need something to be done in exchange for them to stop fucking with people.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
You know what I think? A lot of it has to do with the energy that you put out while you're living, and the energy that has affected you while you're living. Because I know, and well, at least for me, I am attracted to, or not, I'm going to say I'm attracted to, I'm drawn back to places that I've had good experiences. Or say a good life experience. It's like, okay, when I drive through this neighborhood and I was having a really good time while I was living in this neighborhood, it brings back that sentiment.
Oh, like the nostalgia?
The nostalgia. And people say, oh, it's just nostalgia. No, I think it's more than that. I think it's all the energy that you experience, you leave it there. You leave the positivity there. And I think you could also leave negativity places too. So that's how houses get haunted. Because if you leave, or not even just houses, anywhere.
Right.
If you leave that negative energy, if there's so much negative energy there, I think there's shit that can actually manifest just based off of the energy that's there. It's bullshit already there. And they love some bullshit.
If it's already like bullshit there, then I guess like the DMV should be one of the most haunted places.
It should be the most haunted.
Probably the worst.
Negative energy and bullshit.
So there's this thing called residual energy that is some people say that you can actually like measure it. Some people, of course, who are very much more scientific are like, nah, man, that's not real. But residual energy, I think, exists. It's like when, you see like those ghost hunter people and they might hear voices, but they don't interact with you. It's residual energy, like from the past. It's not anything that's spiritual that's left there. It's just energy repeating itself, because energy is never lost. That's a scientific
law. Never created nor destroyed. Exactly.
You know what? I definitely believe that, because I feel like a lot of anything spooky related, entertainment wise, we get some of the stuff, yes, is made up, but a lot of that stuff is just regurgitated stories that were passed down. And I always feel like even in the folklore stories, there's some truth to this, and maybe it's exaggerated along the way, but there was truth in this. So I like we talked about the Conjuring series, but we also talked about Insidious. But what I love so much about Insidious, the first and second one, was them doing a little bit of what you just talked about with that energy and patterns repeating itself in the house, because the second part of the movie, he's basically backtracking steps and kind of, you know, doing the same thing over again, but from a different perspective. So from the people that were in the first film, after you watch the first one, you see the second one, you realize, oh, the knocking at the door was really this.
Yes.
Or that bell you heard was really that, because it's the people doing the same thing over and over again. Or I've heard stories about, they say, oh, you know, Mary, because there's always some bitch named Mary that's
fucking with your soul. Right.
Always. So anyway, Mary, who haunts
I got a Mary story in Chicago. That bitch was nuts.
And there's always a haunted Mary. Can you imagine, wait a minute, can you imagine Mary J. Blige haunting you?
Oh, no.
With that dance,
with the it's the dance. Go Mary. Go Mary.
She gonna have a backup dancers too? All of them together?
And the skeletons be getting it with Mary.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be so fucking dumb. But seeing those stories and hunters like that, and they're like, hey, she always walks the same hall, or they're always on the same floor. And I think it's that energy and that, you know, trauma there, because of course you hear the worst kind stories when people have been murdered.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
There's a lot there, especially when they're stabbed or axed. Anything like what they would describe as a crime,
brutal death. Yeah,
I noticed that
because it's two energies interacting in a fucked up ass way.
Yeah, and it's so. This is gonna sound really fucked up. And future husband, if you hear this one day, don't try me. When you are choking somebody or stabbing somebody, that is a super intimate thing.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And because I don't think about intimate in the sense of just sex, it's like, no, you are really in somebody's space, waiting for their last breath to come out. That shit is like, yeah, I could see why something would be haunted, or some spirits like, hell nah, we got unfinished business until that whole family is gone.
Yeah, do you know they have family ghosts and things like that too? They like literally haunt your family for generations.
I totally
because of this shit. It's kind of.
I think it's called a credit. It's a credit ghost in my family because all our credits fucked up. We got a fucking credit ghost that's haunting the fuck out of our finances.
Your finances, scary shit. What's that scary? Financing.
Your credit score has dropped to 220.
No.
Oh shit.
I'm so through. Oh my god. Anyway, see where we are? Off task. Credit scores. Did you have a character that you wanted to do too? Like a creature that you want to talk about, or a history person at all?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I don't like those. I don't like those. I'm scared of those. You
know that's right, Brandi. Some of those scared him.
Oh no. The fact that some of those scared you, after I sent the list, CJ calls me when we're talking about it. And for those listening, I was just trying to get together different topics and things that I felt like they would be good at. So it was like, it took me like 5 minutes to come with this email, send it, and be like, okay, I think you could look up this monster or this folklore story or whatever. And CJ last night was like, you were really good at that. Like, I was reading my list and I'm like, God, shit, this bitch really knows me, and these things are really good for D. But I didn't know that I was gonna scare you
to the fucking core.
I know. I
fucking
read that.
Robert the Doll's bitch ass. I don't like that motherfucker.
Robert the Doll is crazy.
About Robert the Doll since I was little.
Baby.
And that's a scary motherfucker. I don't like it.
You know what? We might do it. I'll take it then.
You could have that motherfucker.
I'll take it.
I'm sorry, you guys switch lists. I'm sorry, D.
We don't even have to switch whole lists. We could just switch Robert for something else. Because I'm not fuck Robert.
Wait a minute. The fact that that scared him. Can you imagine D just minding his business, opening up an email, Robert the Doll?
Because I was already scared of Robert the Doll, and you sent me that shit. Like,
oh my god! So I guess we'll next episode I'll come back with some Robert the Doll things, guys, so that you guys know what we're talking about.
Crazy.
But no, I mean, if you guys are good, then I can do my ghost thing too. Like, I wanted to kind of ease into this month with just ghosts, because that's like a general spooky. You know what I mean?
You can ease your
Like,
way
it's
into that.
ease your way in and work my way into like really gross stuff, because the last episode of this month is actually going to land on Halloween. It's on the 31st. So I was like, that should
Nice.
be our
we
yeah.
dropped it.
Yes.
Aw.
So it's gonna be our
Scary.
scariest episode. Not like that. That's not scary. She said
That is.
scary.
Scary. Brandi talking with that voice is definitely scary.
Oh my god, I can't. Did I have like lipstick on my teeth? I'm good.
Scary. Lipstick
Okay.
on your teeth.
So I will save my Vegas moments for that, for all
Yeah.
you listeners from Sin City.
From Sin City.
Yes.
I will save a story about somebody I was with that was like possessed and tried to kill me.
Nice.
I'm sorry, what?
Lovely.
Oh.
Love it.
And then,
Love it.
and then get this, okay, you were in the house that it happened in when you visited me. Remember when you visited me?
You just gonna let me in the house? That's that crazy? You just gonna let me?
Because I remember, I won't share all of it, but I remember I would see things, and like we were talking about before, I won't see it fully manifested. I will see the outline thing, so I can make it
yeah.
or if I drew it out, I could tell you what the guy looked like. And I don't see a lot of women, although I know there was a witch in Okinawa, and I think I knew in that moment that's when God had me. Because that was around the same time I remember telling my parents, and I didn't grow up in church, y'all, but y'all should know that shit because you listened to the other episode. But I remember telling my mom, man, I think God's talking to me, and I was really excited about it. And then crazy shit started happening. Like I was in front of in Jennings' house, and shout out to Jennings.
Jennings.
Jenny.
Civil manners better.
Civil manners, shit. No, anything was better than looking out your goddamn window and seeing the school.
Like even if you are like sick that day, you hear everything. Like
hear everything, or look out my window and see everybody walking around. It's like you can't even enjoy this shit. But anyway,
sucks.
I was outside playing basketball by myself, and it's already warm in Okinawa, so I wasn't thinking much about this. And I promise you, I saw a figure in my window, you know, in my house when I looked over. And I was thinking, man, no, because a couple of months before that, my grandfather had passed. I was close to him, but not that close to him. But we didn't get to go to the funeral, and I was really upset. And to this day, I know it was him that visited me because my TV screen went all snowy white, and my bed was shaking. And I woke up like shaking, like I know it was off the ground, probably about that much.
Ooh.
But I know the feeling I get. I know the feeling I get when it's something bad.
Oh yeah, there's two different kinds.
I was calm. I was calm as shit. And then I remember the next day kind of crying, not just because I was sad, because I'm like, I know that was grandpa. And then the very next day, I want to say either my mom made or she bought like some cinnamon French toast or whatever. And that's always what I would have my grandpa teach me how to cook or make for me. Like I had it so much, my grandma would say, don't give that girl any more damn bread. Like, and then my grandpa would go in the kitchen. He's like, you know this for you, right? I was like, yes. So that wasn't scary. But anyway, getting back to what I believe to this day was a witch. Why it was following me or wanting me or whatever, who knows? But the ground around me started burning up. I kid you fucking not. What made this even crazier was I am outside by myself. So I'm kind of looking around. The basketball starts getting really warm.
Right.
And it almost, and I know this is going to sound crazy to some people, but we sharing all our stories. I know y'all will believe me.
Yeah.
It almost felt like a circle was around me. Like it was really hot. And I was like, what the fuck? And I just went inside because at that time, I'm not churched out. I'm not reading any type of spiritual books. I don't know just as well as people can speak curses. You can speak life and, you know, expel things. I had nothing in my arsenal. I'm like, nigga, you run. That's what the fuck you do. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then when it was a storm and we were in TC, whatever, because you know how that shit went.
Yes.
TC2.
TC2. We didn't give a shit about that. We were still outside. Like, what is that?
We were.
Whole island's gonna flood, but what's going on? But I remember going upstairs to my room. Power was going in and out, and seeing the figure outside the door. And she, whatever, looked pissed off. And in that moment, that's when I knew, okay, I don't know what God has for me or what's going on.
Right.
But you're upset because you can't get me. For some reason. I don't know if it was like maybe, you know how they say the reason maybe you getting through life the way you are right now is because somebody was praying back then. Maybe it's not your mom and dad now, but somebody in the family, you know, covered you and had you. I promise you that had to be it. That's really weird to experience 7th, 8th grade because I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
I think she might have been a ghoul.
Something.
It's not a witch. Probably a ghoul. He was
Your Ogum was praying for you though.
Your what?
Ogum, your ancestors.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Somebody was praying back then.
Somebody had my back because that thing.
Oh my God,
was not happy. Why did we get goosebumps at the same time? Was not happy, like me mugging my ass, and I was like, I remember standing outside my room, just kind of like closing the door, like nothing can happen. And ever since then, I've never saw it or that again. Anything else I've ever encountered.
What did it look like?
I know whatever it was. If it had to be a height, it was probably my height or shorter, and hair, kind of like this.
What did she wear?
If that makes sense. Everything was dark. Like everything was dark. I could make out a face, but everything was dark, but I could see the silhouette in the face. And I'm just like, okay, why is this thing following me? Now, when I had an actual man in my house, I really think that was something attached to an ex. I'm not going to put him on blast, but an ex that I know he had said that something had been following him for a while. And I remember, because I have so many adopted godparents, but I remember some when we were living in the Midwest, and he was freaking out. And I remember he called me because we were in and out of long distance. It was always something. And he had called me. He was like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. I start tripping. I call her because she a real like prayer warrior. I call her. And then when I hear what the interaction was later, because she's like, hey, I got it. I'll talk to him. She was telling him what to grab in the house that he had, what to say, go to each room. She has never been to where he lived. And she described to him what the place looked like walked him through a place she never been. She bad. Like she's amazing.
Wow.
Spiritually, she's amazing. She's very, very powerful, which makes sense because a lot of times I feel like powerful people, whether you realize how powerful you are spiritually or not, you're going to get like these weird encounters or attacks, whatever you want to call it. You're going to have people tell you crazy shit or you're going to experience some crazy shit. But I remember seeing the same thing in the house a couple months after you had left when you came out and saw me, CJ. And what makes it so funny, I was taking out my sewing shit. And I remember hearing a cabinet slam. I was like, what? And then my door opened and just slammed shut. And I remember looking up in the mirror and I saw behind my head like an angry man face. Like I know it was a face. You remember seeing
door slammed at D's side when she said that.
I got you, D.
The timing of our episode and all the people around us is ridiculous.
If this is what is going to build up until the last episode, one of us ain't going to make it.
Right.
Ain't gonna make it.
I don't know what to do.
The door opened.
He said the door slammed and D was like, was that your cousin? What's it?
Oh yeah, the baby. Wants to talk to you guys. He just came through the front door.
He's had way too many jump scares already.
Anyway, go on.
So yeah, after that happened, I was upset because by then years had passed since that first incident in Oki. I was so used to seeing things or things happening where at that point I was angry. So I was like, all right, let me grab my oil, let me grab this, because my godmom there had put me on different things to keep around the house, and she was telling me to use them. Bitch, I didn't touch this shit.
See?
Take the batteries out.
Take the batteries out. And if
I can't, it got screws in it, but I can turn it off. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting this on the screen for those that are watching. I am turning this off. If this bitch turns on,
we just ending the episode
while
right
it's
then
off,
and there.
I'm done.
We're done.
It was nice doing the triangle with you guys. I'm done.
Oh my God.
But by that time, I wasn't upset by anything. If anything, I was, scared. If anything, I was upset because I'm like, I know what happened here. You
Right.
got involved with someone. This is how I always knew he was doing stuff he had a business doing. You got linked up with someone I told you not to be linked up to because this person was so heavy and on drugs. You're opening up your mind and all type of other shit to a lot of motherfucking shit.
Yep.
And I remember another friend there that was like, her grandma or one of her elder family members told her, you opened up a portal in my house because I know you're doing A, B, and C as far as drugs. Ooh. And these things, and you're opening up your mind to different stuff, right? And you're zoning out. And I don't think you realize when you're that zoned out, whether they're meditating, depending on what they're meditating on or to,
right,
or whether you just so high out of your mind, I almost feel like you're an empty vessel at that point.
Yep.
And I believe in things jumping in and out of people. And after she had told me that, that's when this incident happened at my house, and I confronted him. I'm like, I know you got to be into A, B, and C, or you're hanging around this person because this is what was in the house today. And it's to the point now, I'm like, our son's here.
Right.
And because Peter's very young at that time, under 2. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this because I'm praying for you. I'm putting oil on your shoes. I am like anointing your head. Like I'm doing a lot trying to make sure that this stops. But at the end of the day, it really, is on that person. And inner demons and stuff he has following him. And it was a lot. Like it was pretty fucking intense in that time. But I'll share the other half of that story towards the end of the month when I almost got taken out the game. And I was just like, I can't.
Man, this last episode, the 5th one at the end of the month, is going to be crazy because
that's going to be some fucked up shit.
I got a crazy one. I'm saving that one. So with the ghosts and stuff, it's typically like people say like it's energy that's left over or if it's like souls and things like that. But I feel like it's a mixture, right?
Me too.
That I really do. I feel like it's a mixture that people label as ghosts because like you can't really put your finger on it. Like it's so hard to explain, but like, so sometimes you'll see things that you think are ghosts when they're actually like other entities posing as human form. Like that's the creepiest one.
That's the creepiest one, definitely.
that's the creepiest one.
Although
for me.
Fair, I don't want to see your real form. This is
right, the real form is
that part.
Pretty,
right, that part.
This is bad enough. I don't need you to be like, well, let me slip into something more comfortable.
Just
no.
like,
this is fine.
Exactly.
Like this is cool. Actually, a lot of the negative entities usually slipped into forms that are human that are children. So that's one thing that people should be aware of. They usually take form of children. That's why that shit in San Antonio used to freak me out because that's the worst kind. Like, because when you see children, even if it's like not real in this platform, in this dimension, you feel like it's safe because it's a kid. It's not, it's even worse. Like that.
So it's compassion.
Professor Gould, CJ.
Yes.
Do you is that why people will see women or children because they're just viewed
more? Yes,
harmless?
because men are intimidating in general to human nature. You know what I mean? We're taught as humans that women and children are docile compared to male figureheads. So they are always going to, so like the ghoul that I was talking about, it's GHUL, not the GHOUL that we're aware of. A ghoul is something that takes human form as a woman. It like hunts down people who are alone by themselves. That's why when you said basketball playing by yourself.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm giving myself goosebumps. I was
like Resurrection Mary's bitch.
I don't think that's a witch. I think that was a ghoul because it's and ghouls are usually considered like Islamic, Arabic in that region, but I think it's something similar. I feel like all these entities like exist across the nation and across like all these countries. I think we just give it different names.
They're classified differently.
Yeah, they classify it differently because even though, like, for example, like this, look, you guys, I'm such a nerd when it comes to parapsychology. This is my fairy book, but inside this book is the ghoul that I was just talking about. And funny that you brought that story up because that was exactly the passage I just read before I went online to record with you. I'm not
Cool,
shitting. I'm not shitting you. Look, this is.
No, I don't want to look. I'm fine.
I just
I'm good.
read about it when you told right
Child.
before we started recording. I know. Like,
I'm waiting
today's
for PJ to come out of nowhere.
today's been a weird day. I had to do some card readings too for somebody, and it was really weird. I might have to talk about it in a little while.
So I'm gonna ask you this, CJ, because I feel like you're a professor with all the books, and you just already know hella shit anyway.
No,
I
wait.
see all the time in movies, and
Uh-huh.
I think it's dumb, but I think you'll have an answer for it. It is dumb. In the scary movies where you're basically spending an hour and a half to 2 hours watching a ghost or demon, kind of scary, kind of scary, kind of scary, kind of scary.
Right.
Right? So I'm like, are these things feeding off of fear? And is that why it's like, well, I'm going to scare you a little and then come back 2 weeks later. Scare you a little here and then come back. And it's like, are you getting energy to re-up to like really get something going? Like,
there's two kinds. There's two kinds. So there's kinds that do feed off of negative energy and it just keeps coming back because negative energy is their living energy, right? There's also the kind that wears you down to take your soul. There's two kinds. Right. So she said she got so black mama.
My whole soul though. My soul?
Look, I mean, you're living.
No, I mean, that makes sense. Think
yeah,
about
you're
just get all isolated and depressed, and it seems like event after event's happening.
Yep.
Or imagine if your house is haunted, but whatever's haunting it is causing more discord between you and your children, you and your husband, so that energy is constantly going where everyone's unhappy, everyone's fighting all the time.
Right.
I see that a lot, especially on those shows where they're asking for help for these professionals that try to tell them about the ghost shit that's going on in their house. Their lives are always in shambles.
It's
their marriage
chaos.
is always in shambles. The kids want to run away. It's always bullshit. So yeah, it makes sense.
Energy is a thing. Let me tell you about this story. I keep giving myself goosebumps just thinking about the things I want to talk about. So a great example of this is when I was in Oki, and I used to ride the bus right outside of Gate 1 of Kadena. And our bus stop was that Family Mart that was right there under the apartments, right outside of the gate. And so one day we got off of the school bus, and there was this cement frog sitting where the bus stop is. It looked like garden decor made out of cement, but it was a frog. And I was like, "Ooh, that's cool." Because I'm a kid, I don't know any better. I think maybe I was in middle school, perhaps. I can't remember my age. I should have asked my mom. She would remember. So we took it home. Me and my brother took it home, and we put it like on this little stool that was by our front door. I was like, this is cool. There was like a plant on it or something. I was like, it looks cool, whatever. So things started getting weird in our house. Like my parents started fighting a lot. Me and my brother would argue. Me and my mom would argue. Like everybody argues, but it was like over the top, like fighting, like arguing and being nasty to each other. And then sorry, several weeks went by, and my mom was in one of her pissy ass moods. I was like, what is wrong with her? She turns around, she goes, "Get that stupid frog out of our house." I was like, what? She was like, "Get that frog and put it back where you got it from," is what she told us. So that next day on our way to school, we took the frog and put it back at the bus stop, right? By the time we got home from school, it was gone already. Like, look at Brandi. I was like, "Mom, it's gone." I was like, it either hopped away or found its next victim because somebody picked it up. I know, don't pick up shit you're not supposed to pick up. I learned that the hard way. Dude, but here's my thing, though. How did my mom know to yell at us to take the fucking frog back? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my mom knows.
Ogun told her that.
Yeah, my mom knows shit because that's a whole nother story too. My grandma and my mom and me and all of the above.
It was like, take that shit where the fuck you found it.
Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, T.
No, I was just saying, like.
He was being stupid.
Yeah, Go ahead.
I remember CJ talking about that around our first or second episode.
Yeah.
And I want to say you mentioned a similar thing, and I Yeah, I told you too, when I started opening up to my mom about this stuff, that's when she told me she could see figures around people before they died, like that Frighteners movie. That's what it reminded me of. And I was like, that I already didn't think I was crazy, although I told some people they thought I was crazy. But I was like, this is just confirmation. Like, it's confirmation that this has to be something that runs through my family.
Yep.
Because my sister, she's...
So do you see it too? Do you see... What do you see? Do you see anything too? Like when it comes to that? Like before someone passes or if someone's sick?
No, when it comes to people being sick and death, I am not sensitive to it in that way. I feel like if anybody probably has that heavy, it's my sister. But I feel bad for her because it's overload for her. Like she can't go places where there's a lot of people. Because it's almost kind of like when Bruce Willis was in Unbreakable and you bump into someone and you feel everything. You get everything. And you can't do that. I almost feel like that one that's sleeping there right now is that way because he'll just feel everything at once. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Or he'll just know who to sit with or who needs a hug. It's really weird. Well, it's not weird, but you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you pay attention to it when you understand more about what runs in your family spiritually and you're not afraid of it. And you're trying to basically, use it to better your life or at least somebody else's because there's no use in being afraid of something that is a spiritual gift.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What it is. So I'm very happy I don't have that gift. I'm like, that was definitely for my mom or if my sister has it. But I, unfortunately, just see shit when shit's either about to go down or going down. And then it's almost like, oh, this is why. Like if you ever watch a scary movie and you're wondering, well, we know because we're watching the movie, but characters are still trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And then about 30 minutes in, you see the thing in the corner. You see that. And then it's like, it shows itself to me. And it's like, damn, that's how I would know either what to do or who to call if I didn't know what to do. Because depending on what I would see, that would make a difference on who I would call. If it ever manifested in physical form, like it did with an ex, and you're literally like tearing up shit that should not be able to be torn apart by a regular human being. It's like, that's when I call in people because it's like, you could hurt yourself or other people because you want some other shit right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus just like anytime it's ghoul, apparition, whatever people want to call it. If it's anything like that, I can handle that because the door slamming, my cabinets opening, shit being moved, all that kind of petty shit, that's never bothered me. If anything, it's annoying.
It is
annoying. It doesn't frighten me. But the stuff where it manifests into other people, that's scary to me because then I'm like, you're going to kill yourself or kill somebody else. That's in game.
Manifesting is like intense. Like,
so answer me this though. Answer me this. Did you see that coming?
What do you mean?
Coming?
Like before your ex got crazy, were there signs that was going to come? I don't mean to cut you off, CJ.
Attention to, because it's one of those things where it's hindsight. It's one of those things where now when I think back on it, when we first moved to Florida, there was shit going around in the place that we were at. And I didn't see it directly. And crazy enough, it happened the same night we had all watched Skeleton Key. And stuff was going through to the room that he was asleep in.
That shit. That part.
So it's almost like when you see something dark and it's kind of like, and probably to this day, I still feel like some shit is following and attached to you. Kind of like that, what was that movie where that girl that the guy ended up actually raping or something was hanging on him the whole time? She was on his shoulders. Shutter.
Oh, I never watched it.
Oh yeah,
I watched the old school one. The old school one.
That sounds like a Japanese story.
It was a Thai story.
Oh, it is?
Asian, definitely.
Okay, so I was like, that sounds like a Japanese story. Anything with the shoulders.
Yeah, it was crazy because the whole movie he's always like, oh, my back, and then you see the end like, bitch, but then by then you're like, you deserve that shit.
I have a story for that.
So yeah, to answer that question, there were signs when I reevaluate and think about it now, but at that time I wasn't thinking about it. I was just thinking, okay, you just have these issues or you just have that, because I didn't grow up being taught to attack things spiritually or that was going to be the norm or whatever. I didn't know how to handle it at all. Now it's a little different, but back then I didn't know, and Lord knows he didn't know. I think he
That's
wanted
fucking
to get better.
crazy.
He didn't want those things to happen, because when he would really cry about it and open up about it, and I'm getting emotional talking about it, because it's really sad to have somebody know that you have something on you, you have something following you, and every few months or few years or whatever, it manifests, and you're just trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
Fuck that.
And you don't know. And I feel bad. It's not an excuse for some crazy ass shit that was going down.
No, but I feel like, you know, entities and elements from the outside definitely. Have you guys watched the movie Constantine with Keanu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
You know
it.
where he talks about they're not allowed to touch or actually do things, but they can whisper in your ear. Whether if they're angels, they can make you do good. If they're demons, they can make you do bad things or think badly. Like, I feel like that whole like influence energy is completely
So
real.
real.
I feel like it's real. Like,
It has to be real when you think about the stuff that's happening in this world. That's always been happening, but I feel like now we have the social media and everything else and the 24-hour news, so it's just the cycle of hearing about it all the time.
Yes.
But I feel like for centuries you've had people probably being whispered in their ear by some fucked up demonic
force. With
because
that being said,
let me tell you this, like, you know, people, like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like people talk about how like all this spiritual stuff has nothing to do with like their religion, but if you look back, even this whispering thing happened to Jesus while he was in the desert with the devil talking to him. You know what I'm saying? It's constant. It is an element that is the same in like every single culture that you come across pretty much. Like, that's why it's so weird to me that people get so upset when you talk about like, you know, like if you're talking about witches are in the Bible. People talk about that. Like, it was one of the, what was it, the witch of something was somebody that they wanted Samuel to be brought back with. I'm gonna have to look at it so I can get the exact thing, but they use that shit all the time. There's reincarnation in the Bible. There's like Ezekiel was John the Baptist. Fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's these elemental things. If you break it down, they're all the same. That's why I'm like, I think the influence thing really does happen all across the board. And it's so important to like give the younger generation and like your kids some like pointers. I feel like I still remember my dad.
You gotta let motherfuckers know what they about to step into, especially
That's what
if
I'm
it's some
saying.
generational shit.
Yeah,
and they know that they
especially.
didn't put some crazy shit. You need to make sure that you keep that lane of communication open, so I know what I have to do with my life.
Right.
But I feel like it's going to be our generation that pushes that on our kids, because we are also coming from a generation of people that didn't even want to admit that Uncle so-and-so was touching cousin so-and-so.
Right.
Alone, if you were seeing something your whole fucking life,
they would have
and now your son or your daughter something has it, you see it in movies. And the kid comes to an adult, and then when they're like, what the fuck is going on? Then you hear, well, great grandma was some witch of some coven, and that's what, no one was gonna tell me this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 7 years old. No one's gonna tell me this, and I've been having like,
all this shit.
That's something
both
that
my grandmas. Both my grandmas did that shit to me. Both of them.
Yeah, my grandma.
So I one grandma, I'm like, what the hell? She was able to see shit and was capable of seeing shit, but never wanted to talk about it because they fucked her mind up. So I'm like, but you need to let me know that I'm not going crazy, because I'm looking at her like, what? You know what I'm saying? And then
it has to be a healthy dose, like not like everything all at once, because I think that will actually scare children.
But a healthy dose is better than no dose, because I didn't receive a dose about this shit.
I say we scare the children. It's October.
No,
scare the children.
They shouldn't even be
listening.
listening.
In October.
They shouldn't even be listening to our podcast. It's like too many curse words and shit.
PJ asked me the other day, he's like, so when can I listen to the podcast?
Never.
Like, next February. Like,
on your 18th birthday? It'd be cool.
18,000th birthday.
You know, maybe when you're old enough to drink, then you can.
Yeah, I was like, you
hear some shit about your mom that you're gonna want to drink about and drink away.
Listen. But I totally agree with Demetrius. Definitely need to tell your kids that in the same way that I think it's healthy to tell them, hey, you have a line of cheaters in the family, or every woman's always on their fourth husband, or that shit, that pattern, those things are not coincidences. Or the same way you would tell them, hey, your dad had a drinking problem, his dad had a drinking problem, you're probably predisposed. You can be predisposed to shit spiritually.
That's so
and
important.
Then what you do with it is on you too. You know, so that's
because I remember my dad telling me like his real dad was an alcoholic, which is why my dad never drank, like because he cut that generational.
Ain't that funny how it goes? It could be he never drink, or he would have been an alcoholic.
It's one or the other.
Probably worse. It's one or the other.
Mm-hmm. But then you got to remember to be careful, like when it skips a generation or something too, because that it doesn't just automatically go away. You have to keep working at it. It's always there.
It's always there.
It's always there because it's a family thing. But,
and then you don't know how intense another person will have it, because the way my mom sees things, who knows if I have a daughter, her daughter's daughter may be able to like
just look at
almost
people.
Always see stuff. And like,
so when you said what like I said, what?
Like you were saying, it would have been nice if you had someone to talk to, because you really will start thinking you're crazy. And then epiphany, if I remember, because a whole bunch of people I was telling about this in Jennings housing, they were like, oh, you're crazy. And I remember for a while, like the kids weren't playing with me. And I was like, I didn't do anything, but I wanted someone to talk to about it. Now imagine if I had went really left and been really isolated, really depressed.
Right.
That's what these
and had those fucking things whispering in your fucking ear.
That's what those
things
want. And it would be a constant thing. You know what I mean? That's why also I believe in like talking to God and praying and all the rest of that stuff before I go to bed, when I wake up, all that stuff, because you are very vulnerable while you are sleeping.
It's so important. Like I still remember my dad telling me he was right up. I think he knew a lot more than he let on, like in hindsight, now that I'm into all of that stuff too, because he super Christian, because he was totally Christian, you know what I mean? Like, but I still remember, you know, like, hey, do you guys ever like be sitting around and think that somebody called your name in a familiar voice? Like, it sound like PJ called your name.
Got a story for that.
Or some shit like that. My dad used to always say, you let God know that you are here, like right here. You let Jesus and God know that you are standing right here and you can hear them and not answer to anything else. So I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I get it now.
Your daddy was putting you on game.
He was. He already knew. That's why I was like, man, that's so important. Don't answer like,
you don't.
The craziest.
There was a office space that I worked in at my previous employer. Mm-hmm. It was on the 15th floor of the original tower of this building. The original tower was fairly old. So I would always complain about whenever I sat in this particular spot, I would hear my name being called so much so, and it was such a familiar voice that I would be like, huh? What? Because I was in a call center and I was on a podium, so it's people all around me.
Right.
So since I'm up on a podium and I'm like, huh, what? Somebody call me, somebody, you know what I mean? I'm always looking around and nobody would ever say nothing. And I never paid attention in the daytime. But at night, when everybody is in front of me and nobody's behind me, that's what fucked me up. And I was like, this is some bullshit. And I thought it was just me. I always think it's just me. It's weird.
Of course. Because you think
a little bit later.
First thing is you think you're crazy. I mean.
Yeah, you think you're crazy. Like, I'm
well, to be fair, now that we know he's a Taurus.
Oh, I forgot to look that up. I need to do that.
It was this other girl who was working with us. She was one of my employees. She was in front of me, and she was like, "Can I move?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Is everything good?" She's like, "No, nothing's good. I just need to move. Mm-hmm. Can I move?" I was like, "Okay, move." Like, what the fuck? So she gets up and she moves, and I was like, "Hey, is everything good? Like, what was happening? Like, were you having I'm thinking she's having technical difficulties at that station."
Oh, right.
And she's frustrated with her computer. She's like, I can't get it to work. Can I move? So I was like looking at the station, like, is everything cool? She's like, well, I didn't want to tell you because I thought you would think I'm weird. But every time I sit here, I swear I hear somebody calling my name.
Oh, like, hell no.
That part.
Ready to be through with our story.
Nope.
So then I ended up talking to one of my colleagues about it. He was another person in management. And I was like, yo, every time I sit here, I hear somebody calling my name. There's this other girl here who says She hears somebody call her name. There's something going on. She's like, "Oh, you guys are fucking stupid. You guys are crazy." She was like super cynical about the whole thing. She's like, "You guys are crazy. You're silly. Your religion is in your head and it's making you guys think this. And there's a scientific explanation to back up everything."
Of course, right?
Until her ass had to close one night. Her ass had to close, and her ass was at the call center. Well, we didn't really close, but management, we left. We were there no later than 3 a.m.
Right.
So we would leave at 3, and then the graveyard team was responsible enough to handle it. And then the morning manager started at 6:30.
Right.
So she was there closing. She was the only one on the podium. Nobody was behind her because she worked days where she was surrounded by people. I'm sure she heard her name being called and didn't put two and two together.
Right.
She heard somebody, she said it was in her ear.
Oof.
And said her name. And she got up and ran across the call center. It was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God."
It got her good because she made fun of it.
Good. So she comes to me, "Oh my God, I heard it. I was like, "Oh, somebody called your name?" "Oh, yeah. Oh.
Demetrius is over it. No sympathy.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah, is that what happened? Like I told you?
Tragic.
Like, granted, I felt bad after a while. I was like, okay, I'm going to stop laughing at you now because I thought it was hilarious. I was like, "Oh, so you believe me now?" She's like, "I just didn't think, I thought you guys were fucking crazy." So now you know that we're not, and that's some real shit. So that whole place was fucked up. Not to mention that bad juju energy that's left behind. That is one of the original, not going to name the property, but it's an old ass property on the Vegas Strip when bad shit was happening in Vegas on that strip.
Oh, like all the mobsters.
Mafia and all that crazy shit. So it's no telling what the fuck that was.
Yeah,
I love
Vegas was built on a whole bunch of blood.
I love those Vegas stories. I've watched a few documentaries on that. Of
Vegas
course.
was a fucked up place back in the day. It's still fucked up now, but they just like do a better job at hiding it.
I had, speaking of jobs, when I was in Nebraska, one of the places I worked at was pretty much haunted. Like, craziness would happen. Like, I hope my old boss is like listening. If not, I'm gonna have to tag her in this so she can listen to it. But
also, after CJ's story, we're wrapping. We're at our 2 minute and 30 seconds.
Oh shit, that's so fast, dude.
It's really fast.
This place I worked at, I sold greeting cards. I won't name which one. There's only a couple to choose from. I'll let y'all figure out which one that was.
I was like, Hallmark American Greetings.
You're right. It's one or the other. I won't say which one. But anyway, so it wasn't like just one time. It was like all the time. And to the point where there was this corner in the store that I really didn't like walking by because I could feel something. You know what I mean? And I was like, like the only time I go back there is if I had to take a customer back there to go find something or grab something, and I still didn't like doing it. Well, my boss is into stuff like this, and she believes in all this stuff. So she was like, "I'm going to take a picture." She was like, "I'm going to go ghost hunting." In my
no, fuck she do that shit for it.
I'm done with this story. Oh.
No, hell no.
So she brought her digital camera. She took a few pictures. The battery died and all the screenshots were black. Nothing in that corner would, oh my God, nothing would be on the digital camera. Nothing. Like all of it was black. Then the battery died. And I was like, see, we can't fuck around. I still think it was sacred Indian ground because I feel like there was an Indian person in the back. That's just me. And one of my other coworkers agreed because shit, like, those, look at Brandi, those little angel pins that white ladies love so much? You know what I'm talking about? So they had a little rounder on the countertop where the cash wrap is. And I was a manager there too. So I opened or closed or whatever. I came in, two of the strips of the thing, you know how it's glued on, all the hooks are glued onto that cylinder thing, the little displayer, I guess. Somebody had taken and ripped off 2 rows worth of angels.
Oh my God.
All over the counter. I totally forgot.
Holy shit. Hold on.
Okay. You good? What is happening? What's happening?
My God.
Is everything? What's happening?
Left. I don't know.
Hey guys, if you're listening, D just made a really crazy face, said, "Oh my God," and took off out of his chair. What is happening? Are we good? Is this a bad idea?
Girl, we ain't gonna make it through the month.
Are we gonna make it through? There's 5
We're
episodes this
gonna-
month. There's 5 Thursdays. We're gonna pause for a second. Is what we're gonna do, I think, because I'm hearing
This
stuff.
would be a perfect cliffhanger moment. Like you have to listen to the next episode. To
Oh
see
my
what
god.
We're
Okay,
good.
we're back, guys. Apparently, there was garlic bread burning in the kitchen.
I was like, what the fuck? I smelled it. It smelled like burning, like, you know, that burning bread
But the
smell.
way,
Like,
if you
okay,
watch this on
like toast.
YouTube,
I thought
if you watch
something
this on
serious
YouTube,
went
it's
down.
the way it went down. It's his face, y'all.
He was like,
We didn't know what was going on.
and then he like took off.
Garlic bread ain't gonna keep them vampires away, D.
I know, right? Oh my god.
Shit, that better tonight. After that, that's some bullshit. I said, what the fuck is going on in there?
I will
Oh
say
my
this
God.
as we are basically about to wrap up and say
Yes.
bye. I cannot believe, one, how much and how little we have covered in less, well, in about an hour and some change, because we have some stories.
We do. Oh, let me finish that little thing up real quick. So the angel thing,
Oh, yeah.
they
Angel
ripped it
up.
off, right? Left it there. We were like, I told my boss, and she was like, what the fuck is happening? One of the other weeks, I come in. So that greeting store in particular, they put chairs in the aisles, rolling chairs for customers. Older ladies come in to buy greeting cards.
Oh, okay.
Right? So
Like,
I was opening, I had walked to the back after I passed all the aisles. I saw the chair in one aisle. I went and got the register money. I'm the only one here. It's locked down because it's before we open. Came back out. The chair was in a whole nother aisle. Like, I'm telling, that place was crazy. I remember one time, you know those like cards with like pins on it for like dad's birthdays or mom's birthdays, like they have cute little pins on it. I'm talking to my boss in an aisle, like during service hours, and she's standing like in front of me, and all I see is this pin go pop off the card into the aisle while I'm looking down this aisle. Like, just paranormal shit all around all the time. Or like, I came to work and I couldn't open the bathroom door because all the boxes inside the bathroom had fell behind the door. And like, no, I was like, what the, who did this? And there was nobody in there. Like, it was continuous there. But I forgot, I think we named him Eric or something. I can't remember, Bob the Ghost or some shit like that.
No, not Bob.
Yeah, Bob the Ghost. I think he was Indian though. I still remember what he looks like in my mind. But anyway, like Brandi was saying, there was a lot of extra shit that just happened today.
Like, just what was happening before we recorded.
Yes.
And during this recording alone.
I don't know if we were ready for this today.
We weren't ready.
I don't think they were ready for us to talk about this today. Oh my gosh, what if the three of us linked up can like shut down a whole bunch of demon shit? What if we can all be like Sam and Dean from Supernatural?
First of all, we are not Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Right.
and their
Like
fucking
Hellraiser,
team.
Mastodon, Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl. And then you gotta go, TJ, micromanaging. Tyrannosaurus.
Not micromanaging. I hate you so much.
Your breath stink.
Y'all, he just threw Altoids in the fucking camera.
Oh
I can't
my
stand
God.
you. But okay, so maybe next week we'll do a better job of
Coverage.
not scaring ourselves throughout the episode with doors slamming. Listen, these fucking doors are creaky as hell, and I keep hearing it, and it freaks me out. And
Go man. Go man now.
like all the and I didn't realize that there was a lot of stories that I had forgotten about till I started talking today. So I
Like
think
the creepy fucking.
We got this one covered.
There's
man.
too many. Why is there so many creepy stories? Why do we have so many?
To us?
I don't know. Why do we have so many? I didn't even know about your basketball one, Brandi. Like,
yeah, you never told me that.
Shared that story with a lot of people because it was just fucking crazy.
Now it's on the podcast.
Right, because I kind of blocked it out.
Share it with the world now.
And then I was like, well, maybe I'm crazy because, you know, it is hot and oaky, but you know the heat that you almost feel up under your
Nah,
ears,
it's
your
different.
neck. It was like,
Yeah.
this some drag me to hell type heat. I'm like, what the
Oh,
fuck
hell
is going
no.
on?
No,
So, yeah,
thank you.
we're going to
Oh
have
my God. Well, I know what I'll be doing. I will be making a list of my stories because
Yes.
now that I'm talking, they're coming
Got a
back
fat list.
to me now, like
Get
a
the
fucking
list.
Celine Dion song. So
Oh, the car accident story.
what car accident story?
When somebody got possessed by, because they hit the thing and they could speak another Hogan that they didn't know.
Oh, that's gonna be my last one.
Oh.
That's my long one.
She's saving her big stories for the end. Also, I plan on going to sleep tonight. Y'all not finna start these stories.
We're not. So let's wrap it up because it's been just about an hour. I think today we did pretty good. So if you guys are listening to us on any podcast platforms and you love us, make sure you subscribe so you get our new episode every week. If you are watching us on YouTube, please like, comment, and hit that notification bell so you get a notification every week. We drop our new episodes every Thursday at noon Central Time. I try to get in. I don't know what they're doing in the screen. They're always doing weird shit. I can't stand y'all. And also, I'd like to add that CJ will be doing ASMR ads. If you'd like to stay till the end and listen, we need to get better speakers for Brandi and Dee. So we're going to try to put a couple ads. I promise it'll be worth your time.
Someone could buy me a speaker for my birthday. It's my birthday. It's this Thursday. It's our birthday. It's this Thursday. It's our birthday. It's this Thursday.
I can't. But for real though, if you guys haven't, like we said in the beginning of the episode, if you guys have any crazy psychologically scary stories, parapsychologically scary stories, paranormal stories, anything spooky, anything creepy, send it in to us. Yes, D, it's kawaii. He wrote kawaii in Japanese and put it on the screen. But
yes, because we believe you.
Yes, and if you do have a really long story and you don't want to like DM us, our email is our screen name. It's Th3Triangl. That's TH3 TRIANGL @gmail.com. And I promise I will take care of it if you send it in. If you got short ones, then I mean, go ahead, DM us. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, we even have YouTube. So let us know. On that note, have a very spooky day. Bye.
Bye.